Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what can you do? Week 7 has come and gone. Tennessee almost had the upset. They almost did it. They won, or they lost by 5 to the the 13th ranked team. Ole Miss. We almost beat Lane Kiffin. There are some things that I don't agree with in that game, but what can you do? It's in the past now, and I just gotta look forward to the next game. But anyway, good evening, everybody. I'm back for week 8. Before I go into week 8, I just gotta go over a recap. So, teams that had a bye week last week were Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Coastal Carolina, Wake Forest, and SMU. So, some of the upsets that happened: Iowa, number 2 team in the nation last week, at home, hosting the Purdue Boilermakers. What could go wrong, right? Wrong. Iowa looked terrible last week. They ultimately got the loss to Purdue, 24-7. 24-7. They're ranked number 1 or number 2, and now they're not. Just like that. Some of the other losses include Kentucky, number 11, getting beat by number 1 Georgia, obviously, 30-13. And then you got Arkansas. They're on a skid, folks. They're on a skid. They got beat by Auburn, 38-23. I don't know what's going on with Arkansas, but they got to figure it back out and get it fixed. It's a 3-game losing streak now. And then Arizona State got beat by Utah. I said it. They were on upset alert, and sure enough, they got it. I also had Arkansas on upset alert. I also had Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, NC State, Michigan State, Arizona State, BYU, and Arkansas. That's who I had on upset alert. A couple of them obviously got upset. Arizona State, Arkansas. Oklahoma State almost did, but they pulled it out at the end. Like I said, Ole Miss almost got upset, but just things couldn't fall our way. NC State wasn't even close to getting upset, so I was completely wrong on that one. Michigan State actually almost got upset too. They only won 20-15 over Indiana. Wow. Arizona State, like I was talking about, got beat by Utah. What was the final score on that one? 35-21. Like I said, Utah just lost. I think it was one of their players or one of their students or somebody affiliated with the school. So they're playing on a whole different level. And Arizona State felt the wrath of that, especially since they were in Utah. Also, BYU got upset by Baylor. Had them on upset alert, and I was right on that one. Final score was 38-24. SEC upset. Didn't see this one coming at all. Number 20, Florida, playing in Baton Rouge against LSU. Lost. Florida got beat by LSU 49-42. I don't know what's going on with Florida, but they've kind of hit a snag here. They're now 4-3. All 3 of those losses coming in the SEC. Also, Texas, they were on upset pulling alert. I'll just say that. I don't know how else you would say it. I had them beating Oklahoma State. I had Oklahoma State on upset alert. But now Texas was ranked 25th, but they're not anymore. They're going to be knocked out of the top 25. That final score was 32-24. Give me 1 second. SEC games from last week are, right there. Georgia beating Kentucky 30-13. Alabama beat Mississippi State 49-9. 49-9. Oh, I said that weird. Obviously, Kentucky getting beat by Georgia. Ole Miss beat Tennessee 31-26. LSU beat Florida 49-42. Texas A&M beat Missouri 35-14. So that's a little bit of a bounce back. Arkansas got beat by Auburn 30-23. Already talked about Tennessee, Ole Miss. Already talked about Mississippi State and Alabama. And Arkansas. Also already talked about LSU and Florida. Missouri, Texas A&M. South Carolina, Vanderbilt. Vandy almost got a win in the SEC, folks. They almost got a win. They just couldn't hold it off. They were up 20-14 with like 30-something seconds left. Vanderbilt went down. They had a great drive. 30 seconds or so left in the game, and their quarterback throws a perfect pass into the end zone. Touchdown. Vanderbilt lost another one. That final score was 21-20. South Carolina trying to get back on a roll here. They're now 4-3. I don't know. Some of these teams in the SEC are kind of like they get a win, but then they lose. They get a win, then they lose another one. They're back and forth. But yeah, the SEC is they're not the greatest conference this season. Yeah, I know we've got teams ranked like Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, Ole Miss. We used to have Florida. We used to have Texas A&M. We also used to have Arkansas. But we don't have any of those anymore. But we do have a few teams ranked, but it's not like the other conferences. And we have a lot of teams that have 2 losses. We have a lot of teams that have 3 losses. We only have one undefeated team left, and that's Georgia, after they beat the other undefeated team of Kentucky. The SEC needs to figure out how to get back on the roll if they want to be known as the number 1 conference in the NCAA. It's just weird seeing teams like Alabama losing. It's weird to see teams like Ole Miss playing well. It was weird seeing Arkansas playing well. As much as it hurts to say, it's weird to see Tennessee playing well because we've been kind of down there with Vanderbilt for the past few seasons. Since actually 2009 when Lane Kiffin left us. For some reason, after that, it just downhill, but now we're starting to pick it back up. Got a long way to go, but I think we'll get there. But teams that had, going back to the top 25 from last week, teams that I felt like had to come and show out just to keep their running in the college football playoff alive, I had Iowa, Cincinnati, and Oregon. Now, 2 of those 3 teams won. Iowa obviously did not, so their college playoff hopes are probably canked. But Cincinnati, they showed up for their game. Who'd they play? Cincinnati played UCF. And they got the dominating win there, 56-21. So obviously, their season's still alive. Their college football playoff hopes still alive, still looking good. And the other team was Oregon. They were ranked 9th last week. They were hosting the California Golden Bears. I figured Oregon was going to go in there and just dominate and take reign and just run down the field and run away with it. But they didn't. It was only a 24-17 victory. Does that help Oregon in the playoff? Probably not. Considering that California is one of those teams, they're winless. They're at the bottom of the Pac-12. They're not even close to being ranked. Like I said, they're winless. And Oregon just goes in there and I didn't watch the game. I just seen the score the next morning when I woke up. Because being on the East Coast, you cannot watch those West Coast games. This game came on at 10:30 p.m. I gotta work, folks. I'm tired. I can't stay up that late. But Oregon should have went in there and won that game by like 35. Random number. They should have just had their way with Cal, but they didn't. Same with Iowa. They should have had their way with Purdue, but obviously they walked out of there with a loss, with their tails between their legs. Cincinnati, they had no other option but to have their way with UCF. But looking forward to Week 8. I'm just going to go over the top 25. This is probably going to be a shorter video just because, I do my other stuff for Week 8, either Friday or Saturday. But new rankings for Week 8. You've got the Georgia Bulldogs. They're on a bye week this week. They're 7-0. Obviously, they're number 1. Cincinnati moves up to number 2. They're 6-0. They play at Navy this week. Oklahoma moves up to number 3. That's one spot higher than what they were. They're 7-0. They're playing at Kansas. I'm not one to say easy win, but it's Kansas, so it's probably 75% more than likely going to be an easy win for Oklahoma. But anything can happen any given Saturday. Moving on. Number 4 is Alabama. They are 6-1. They've moved up one spot. They are hosting Tennessee. They're hosting Tennessee. I hope it goes our way, but I don't see it going our way. Like I said, any given Saturday, anybody can win against anybody. We seen it a couple weeks ago when Texas A&M beat Alabama. Number 5 is Ohio State. They moved up a spot. They're playing in Indiana this week. Michigan, they're 6-0. Oh, Alabama's 6-1, and then Ohio State's 5-1. I'm sorry, I missed that part. Michigan, 6-0. They're 6th. That's 2 spots up from last week. They are hosting Northwestern. 7 is Penn State. They're 5-1. That's where they were last week. They're hosting the Illinois Fighting Illini. The Illini! Woo! That's probably going to be... That could probably go either way, honestly. I don't really know the whole... I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know how it's going to go. We'll just leave it at that. Anyway, number 8, Oklahoma State. They are 6-0. They moved up 4 spots after beating Texas, and they are playing in Iowa State. Key matchup there. Just remember that. Number 9 goes to Michigan State. They're 7-0. 7-0. That's 1 spot up from last week. They, too, have a bye week this week. Number 10, Oregon, 5-1. They actually dropped a spot from their 7-point victory over Cal. They're playing at UCLA. Asterisk next to that game. That is the location of College Game Day this week. I guess it's because it's Oregon playing against their old ball coach, Chip Kelly. But whatever the reason, that's where they're at. I don't know the reason. I don't make the schedule, but hey, they see something in that game that probably others don't. Number 11, they dropped 9 spots from their loss last week. That's Iowa. They're now 6-1. They have a well-needed bye week this week. After losing to a team like Purdue, you need to stay at home and you just need to nurse your wounds and figure out where you went wrong to lose that badly to that bad of a team. Ole Miss, they're 5-1. They're now ranked 12th. That's up one spot from last week. They're playing in Mississippi against the LSU Tigers. Number 13 goes to Notre Dame. That's also up one spot from last week. They are playing against USC. That's in North Bend. So that's going to be a great game to watch. I can't believe that's not where College Game Day is at, honestly. Historical rivalry. It's a big game for both teams. I would have picked that location for College Game Day. I guess it's because USC is not that great, so they're probably expecting Notre Dame to just run over them. But I would have picked there. Number 14 is Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. They are 6-0. Keep that in mind. That's up one spot from last week, and they were playing in Appalachia State. Another asterisk next to that game. They played that game, I think it was last night. Appalachian State got the upset. They got the upset. So that's probably going to unfortunately, knock Coastal Carolina out of the top 25. And now they are 6-1. I don't even remember what the final score was of that game. I'll fill you in on that later. Number 15, they actually dropped 4 spots. It's Kentucky. They're now 6-1. They too have a well-needed bye week after going 6-0 and getting beat by Georgia. It's kind of hard to figure out where he went wrong because it's Georgia. They just exploit everything. Like I said a couple weeks ago, their defense is pretty much perfect. Their offense, even with backups, perfect. It's just Georgia's probably going to win the national championship this year, unfortunately, for us Tennessee fans. Moving on, number 16 is Wake Forest Demon Deacons, the last undefeated ACC team so far this season. They are the last remaining undefeated ACC team this season. Lock that in your brain. That's Wake Forest, last undefeated ACC team this season. There's not much more you can say about that. I mean, it blows my mind because it's Wake Forest. But they are playing at Army this week. From what little bit I've seen of Wake Forest, that's probably going to be an easy game. But nothing's easy anymore, especially when you play Army, Navy, Georgia Tech, or any of those triple option teams. Number 17, Texas A&M. They've moved up 4 spots. They are 5-2. They're playing South Carolina this week. If they play like they did against Alabama, easy win. If they play like they did against who was it they lost to? Whoever it was that they lost to, if they play like that, it could go either way. NC State, they're at 18. They're 5-1. Texas A&M and NC State both went up 4 spots. NC State is playing in Miami this week. Miami's lost their touch. They were good a few seasons ago. Last year they were decent, but this year, not even close to being even decent. So expect NC State to have a great game this weekend. Number 19, the Auburn Tigers. They're 5-2. They were unranked last week. They have a bye week. Number 20, Baylor. They are 6-1. They too were unranked last week. Obviously, they pulled the upset against BYU, so that's how they got up to 20. But they also have a bye week this week as well. 21 is the SMU Mustangs. They are also 6-0. They're up 2 spots from last week. They're playing Tulane this week. Number 22, the San Diego State Aztecs walked away with one last week. They won in overtime. That's 2 spots more or higher than what they were last week. They are playing at Air Force, another one of those teams that's feisty, frisky. They're you can't sleep on them. 23, Pittsburgh Panthers. They are 5-1. They were also unranked last week. this week they are playing against Clemson. Years past, that'd be an easy Clemson win. Not this season. Pittsburgh could have Clemson's number this year. Number 24. Hear me out on this. The UTSA Roadrunners. That is the University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners. 7-0. Undefeated. UTSA is undefeated? I'm sorry. What? They were unranked last week. They're playing in Louisiana against the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. That's probably going to be a tough game. We'll probably see who UTSA really is and if they're even undefeated worthy. And then rounding out the top 25, the team who just upset the number 2 team in the nation, Purdue Boilermakers. They are 4-2. They were unranked last week, obviously. They're playing against Wisconsin this week. Now, new arrivals to the top 25 for this week they are the Auburn Tigers, the Baylor Bears, Pittsburgh Panthers, UTSA Roadrunners, and Purdue. Teams that were ranked last week, but they're not anymore. Arkansas, Arizona State, BYU, Florida, and Texas. So be looking for a great weekend again in college football for week 8. Hopefully there's going to be some more upsets because we've seen some every week. Every single week. So this week for the SEC, give me 1 second, I'm sorry. All right, so SEC teams this week. The power rankings, Georgia is number 1. Obviously, they're 7-0. They're off this week. Number 2 is Alabama. They're 6-1. They play in Tuscaloosa against the Tennessee Volunteers. Number 3, the 12th ranked Ole Miss Rebels. They're up 1 from last week, playing against LSU. Kentucky comes in at number 4. They're actually down 1. They are off this week. Texas A&M, they are 5-2. They're playing South Carolina. They're 5th, ranked number 17. 6th, number 19th ranked Auburn. They're off this week. 7 is Arkansas. They're 32nd in the nation. 8th is LSU. They're 42nd in the nation. 9th is Florida. 33rd in the nation. They're down 4 from last week. 10th is Tennessee. They're 45th in the nation. They're also down 2. They're playing in Alabama, so they could drop some more. I don't know. Hopefully they play well. Hopefully it's competitive and it's not like years past where it's big number against small number for Alabama. Hopefully it's competitive. Number 11 is a 50th or ranked 50th in the nation is Mississippi State. 12th is the 75th ranked Missouri Tigers. 13th, 76th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks. 14th, obviously, Vanderbilt. They're ranked 112th in the nation. Okay, so week 8 for the SEC, their games. Arkansas is hosting the Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions, whoever that is. I don't even remember. Hold on. The Golden Lions, I'm sorry. Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. It's one of those in-state games that Arkansas is probably going to figure out what they did wrong, and they're going to play really well this week. LSU at Ole Miss. That's a 3:30 game. At 4 o'clock, Mississippi State is in Vanderbilt. At 7, that's the Tennessee and Alabama game. Another night game for Tennessee. We played well at night. We showed it last week. Just can't close it out. And then 7:30 game, South Carolina at Texas A&M. And then obviously the teams that are off, Georgia, Kentucky, Auburn, Florida, Missouri. So the SEC's got quite a few teams off this week, but they've got quite a few teams playing this week. Now, going back to what I was talking about at the beginning of this video with Tennessee and Ole Miss. First half, we got to figure out this whole first half, second half thing Because last week, or the week before last, whenever we played South Carolina, we played well in the first half and just kind of forgot that there was a second half of the game. Still came out with a win, but we had to fix that. So this week, or last week, against Ole Miss, we didn't show up for the first half, but in the second half we played well, lost by 5. We can't be playing like that, especially against Alabama. We got to play 4 quarters of football this week if we even want a shot at a win. Against Ole Miss, though, we had the ball, 4th and 24. We go down, we make a big pass play. We get 23 3/4 yards, just that much short of a first down. Of course, the fans were upset because they reviewed it. Still, no first down. It's okay, though. 54 seconds left. We still have 3 timeouts. So we're still in the game, as crazy as it sounds. We just have to get a quick stop, call all 3 timeouts, and go towards the end zone. But the fans had a whole different agenda. They started throwing trash on the field, water bottles, pizza boxes, golf balls. Golf ball was thrown, it hit Lane Kiffin. But the weird one is the bottle of mustard. Now, I understand why you would think about bringing a bottle of mustard to a football game, because, when you're at the stadium, the concessions may run out of condiments. You got to have your own if you want specific condiments, like mustard. But why would you throw it onto the field? That's a waste of a bottle of mustard. Anyway, that was a 20-minute delay for 54 seconds of a game. So we have the ball, 54 seconds left. We go down. We're looking great. We're looking good. We could get a win. Hendon Hooker gets one more run. He goes down. He stands up and he falls down. They were trying to do the hurry up, but he couldn't even get back to the huddle. Just fell down. He's out of the game. And in comes Joe Milton. Joe Milton is one of those up-and-coming quarterbacks. He played at Michigan and he was benched there too. He's got to learn some things. I'm not going to bash him because I'm sure he's good. He's just got to control his arm. He's got a heck of an arm. He can throw it for miles down the field. He can throw it over mountains. He's just got to contain it and control it, make some passes. So he comes in, first play, throws to the end zone, overthrows his receiver by that much. That much. It should have been in the receiver's hands, but it wasn't. It was just a touch overthrown. Was going to be the game winner. But then we have 3 seconds left to do anything. Now, usually when you're at the 20, you have options. But when you're at the 20 with 3 seconds left, there's not very many options. You're going to throw it to the end zone. That's it. Because if your running game's not been there all day, you're going to run it and just be well short of a first down anyways. So Joe Milton takes it into his own hands. I'm pretty sure the play was supposed to go right, but the defense blew it up from the get-go, so he had to go left, and nobody was there, obviously. So he's scrambling around for about, I'd say at least 7 seconds, at the least. He gets the first down, and for some reason, this guy decides to look up at the scoreboard to see how much time he had left, and then runs out of bounds. Really? Really? How are you going to look up at the scoreboard, see zeros across the clock, and then run out of bounds? You're not going to win a game if you run out of bounds to stop the clock. If you don't score a touchdown, you're just not going to win. See, I know most people don't like armchair coaches. I'm going to kind of sit in my recliner and put my arms on the armchairs or on the armrests. If I was Joe Milton, what I would have done, scrambled to the left, nothing's over there. Oh well, throw a pass to your closest receiver, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get a shot, get a pass interference, you'll get some yards, and you'll get a free play. A free play. An untimed down where you can just basically do whatever I would have just thrown it to the end zone and hoped for a pass interference or shoot somebody catching it in the end zone for a touchdown. But what can you do? We played well. We played great. We were in a game. We found another way to lose a game. I'm not disappointed. I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed to be a Tennessee fan. Obviously, I get on here every week wearing my Go Vols shirt, my Tennessee hat. I'm not ashamed. We're playing great. We're playing better than we have for years, than we have since 2009, I believe. These kids have some heart. They play their hearts out. And we're playing with little depth. We've got a lot of injuries. Plus, not to mention, during the offseason, so many players transferred, and we are still playing great. Just imagine if we had a whole roster, no injuries, all of our good players were still here. Well, I'll just say this: we got good players now. If we had more depth, just imagine how good we'd be. Those players that transferred, Henry To'o, great linebacker, but I guess we didn't need him. Eric Gray, great running back. Obviously, we didn't need him. He's not doing anything in Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure he's the backup. But those players that transferred out of Tennessee, they're missing out. Obviously, they were the weak links because we were playing. I mean, we were in a game against Florida for an upset. That could have been an upset. We were in a tight game with Ole Miss. Almost had the upset there. I'm hoping that we have a close game, at least a decent game against Alabama. And then we get Kentucky next week. Hopefully that's going to be a close game. And then we follow that up with Georgia. I don't want to say hopefully it's going to be a close game because I don't think it's going to be even close. Georgia's just had their way with everybody that they played. I mean, look at this. Points scored, they're third in the SEC with 269. That's 38.4 points a game that they've scored. Defense has allowed only 46 points all season. That's 46 all season. That's 6.6 points allowed a game. I mean, you can't compete with that. That's first in the nation and first in the SEC. But we'll see how Week 8 goes. I'm going to close out on this. I was going to say there better be some great games this week. Better be some great games. Georgia's not playing this week, so we won't see a team blow out anybody this time, unfortunately. At least Georgia-wise, anyway. I'll be back either tomorrow or Saturday morning to talk about big games in the top 25, who I've got on upset alert. I'll talk about who the SEC teams are in the top 25. I'm just going to talk about it. Week 8 is going to be great. I can feel it. You hold on to that, and you think about that. And if you want to, leave comments. I'm all about it. Constructive criticism never hurt anybody. And I know I'm terrible at these videos, but I'm doing the best I can. So subscribe, leave some comments, help a brother out. And lastly, go Vols, baby. Rocky Top.